Under the burning Nevada sun, Ethan Cole held his camera high, streaming live to thousands of viewers as he stepped into the forgotten desert town that had been swallowed by sand decades ago. The air was dry and heavy, the sky a pale washed blue, and the wind whispered like something alive. He wore his usual cocky grin, the one that had made him the internet's favorite daredevil traveler. And today's challenge was simple. Explore the old ghost town and find the alien statue people claimed was over 1,000 years old in the distance. Half buried in the shifting dunes stood the statue. It was enormous, made of a dark green stone that seemed to shimmer faintly, even in the harsh daylight. It had a humanoid shape, but the head was long and smooth, with deep carved eyes that seemed to watch him. Ethan laughed into the camera. There it is, folks, the famous alien statue of Dry Hollow. And let me tell you, it looks like a bad Halloween prop. An old man in a torn hat sitting near the remains of a collapsed building, called out Boy. Don't mock it, keep your tongue in check. Ethan waved him off. Come on, it's just a rock with a face, nothing scary about it. He circled the statue, brushing away sand with his shoe. He noticed strange symbols, carved all over the surface, twisting shapes like stars colliding and spirals sinking into blackness. He read one out loud, trying to sound spooky. The ground seemed to hum softly beneath his feet. He chuckled. You hear that, guys? Spooky desert magic? He pulled a small metal stick from his backpack and tapped it against the statue's chest. The sound rang out sharp and metallic, not like stone at all, and then it happened. The eyes of the statue flickered with a dim green light, faint at first. Then growing brighter, shadows bent around it as if the sunlight itself was warping. Ethan froze. The old man stood up, backing away slowly, his voice shaking. Boy, you've done it. The statue's mouth, which had been sealed in stone since anyone could remember, began to move, and a voice deep and ancient rolled out across the sand. It spoke in a strange tongue, a low echo that made Ethan's bones feel cold. Then in perfect English, it said, You have mocked the voice of the stars. Humanity is cursed. Ethan stumbled back, his camera shaking. The live chat exploded with messages, some laughing, some screaming in all caps, asking if it was a prank. The ground rumbled under his boots, the air smelled like burning metal. Without warning, the wind howled into a massive sandstorm, swirling so fast it blotted out the sun. Grains of sand stung his skin. The camera slipped from his hand, static filling the feed. Ethan shouted, trying to find his way, but the world was nothing but spinning dust and roaring wind. He heard faint voices in the storm, hundreds of whispers speaking the same alien words over and over and over, when the storm suddenly stopped. Silence fell heavy, like the world had been emptied. Ethan blinked and looked around. The town was gone, the wooden shacks, the dusty streets. The old man, everything was gone, replaced by endless flat desert, stretching in all directions. His camera lay half buried in sand, its screen still recording his own frightened face. Breathing hard into the lens somewhere far away, thunder rolled, even though the sky above was still a pale, lifeless blue. Ethan picked up the camera and whispered to himself and to the thousands still watching. What did I just do? Ethan sat alone in a cheap roadside motel, miles from the desert. His hands, trembling as he replayed the footage on his laptop over and over, the screen showed his grinning face, then the glowing eyes, then the words spoken in that deep, impossible voice. You have mocked the voice of the stars. Humanity is cursed. Each time he heard it, his stomach turned. The storm had swallowed the entire ghost town in seconds, and when it cleared, there had been nothing left. No old man, no buildings, no footprints, just a flat sea of sand he had run until his legs burned, desperate to escape the feeling that the statue's eyes were still on him. News channels exploded with the clip. Some called it a stunt. Others said it was CGI, but not everyone was laughing across the world. Strange things began. Happening without explanation in California, the ocean pulled back for miles, exposing the sea floor as fish flopped helplessly under a blood-red sky in Tokyo. Thousands reported hearing voices in their dreams, whispering in a language they could not understand. In Brazil, a flock of birds fell from the sky all at once, their feathers glowing faint green before turning to ash. Ethan switched off the TV and rubbed his eyes, trying to ignore the pounding in his head. There was a knock at the Dr. Three sharp raps. He froze, another knock louder this time. He stood slowly and opened it. A tall man in a black suit and dark sunglasses stood outside, his voice calm but firm. "Mr. Cole, we need to talk." Ethan hesitated, then stepped aside. The man entered, closing the door behind him, and without introduction placed a small silver device on the table. It projected a hologram of the alien statue spinning slowly above the surface. "This is not a legend," the man said. "It is not a tourist trap. It is a guardian, left by an ancient race that visited Earth long before humans walked on it. They called themselves the Zareth." Ethan stared at the floating image, his throat dry. The man continued, "Each guardian sleeps for 1,000 years until a signal wakes it, sometimes naturally, sometimes by provocation. What you did today may have triggered something global." Ethan swallowed. "I just made a joke." The man shook his head. "You mocked it, and it responded in their culture. Mockery from a lesser species is an act of war." Ethan's voice cracked. "What happens now?" The man tapped the hologram, and the image changed to show glowing points all over the world. From Antarctica to the deepest oceans, the Guardians are waking one by one. Their message is always the same. The voice of the stars speaks. Humanity is cursed. Satellites have detected energy pulses coming from their locations. Our scientists believe it is a countdown to something we do not yet understand. Ethan's mind reeled. He thought of the whispers in the storm of the empty desert where a town had been. The man handed him a tablet containing satellite footage of a frozen plain in Siberia. As the camera zoomed in, a colossal figure of green stone rose from the ice, its eyes burning, the same color he had seen in Nevada. It opened its mouth and spoke words that vibrated the camera itself. The man's voice was grave. "This is not a single event, Mr. Cole. This is a chain reaction, and it has only just begun." Ethan set the tablet down, his hands slick with sweat outside the motel. A low rumble shook the glass as if thunder had rolled right past the window, but the sky was clear. The man glanced toward the sound, then back at Ethan. "We have a team preparing to visit the Nevada Guardian. Again, we believe there may be a way to reverse the curse if we can translate the original language. But for that, we need you." Ethan frowned me. "Why?" The man replied, "Because it spoke to you first, and if the legends are correct, it will speak to you." Again, the knock came at the door a third time. Softer, almost hesitant. Ethan turned, but the man was already standing, his hand on his gun. He opened the door slowly. The hallway was empty except for a folded piece of paper on the floor. Ethan bent down to pick it up. Written in neat black ink were the words, "It has already started." He looked up the hallway, still empty, his pulse hammering in his ears. Ethan sat in the back of the black SUV, watching the desert blur past through tinted windows. The man in the suit, who had introduced himself only as Agent Harris, sat beside him, silent and rigid. Harris's phone buzzed every few minutes each time. His jaw tightened a little more. Finally, he said without looking at Ethan, "3 more statues woke up today, one under the ocean near Guam, another in the Amazon, and one inside a glacier in Greenland. They all said the same words." Ethan stared ahead, his mind a storm of images. The glowing eyes, the empty town, the paper on the motel floor. He had not told Harris about that note. It felt like someone else out there already knew what was coming. The SUV turned off the highway onto a dirt road toward the Nevada site where it had all started when they arrived. The desert was eerily quiet. No wind, no sound. Just the statue standing exactly as it had when he left, except now faint green light pulsed slowly from its carved eyes. Harris's team set up strange scanning devices around it. While a woman in a white coat stepped forward, she was introduced as Dr. Alina Voss, a linguistics and archaeology expert. She approached Ethan with a firm handshake. "I've reviewed the audio from your stream." She said what it said before the curse in English was a call to the other Guardians. "I believe they are part of an ancient warning system." Ethan frowned like a security alarm. Dr. Voss nodded, exactly one designed to judge a civilization after a set period of time if they find it unworthy. She hesitated, then said, "They erase it." Ethan felt a cold weight in his chest. Erase how Harris answered for her. "We don't know, but we suspect environmental collapse, storms, tectonic shifts, maybe worse." Ethan stepped closer to the statue, feeling its strange hum in the ground beneath him. He asked, "Can I talk to it again?" Harris shook his head. "Not yet, we're not ready." But as he spoke, the green glow flared bright. Without warning, the mouth opened and the deep alien voice rolled out. The ground trembled and sand danced around Ethan's feet. This time there were more words, some in English, some in that unearthly tongue. Dr. Voss's eyes widened. She scribbled on her notepad, translating in fragments. "It says the veil is lifting. The air will turn. The sky will close." Harris barked at the team to record everything. Suddenly, one of the scanning devices beeped sharply, and a soldier shouted, "We're getting energy spikes from multiple points." Dr. Voss glanced at the monitor, her face pale. "These are coordinates." Harris's voice was grim. "Show me the display." The screen lit with red dots scattered across continents. Africa, Asia, the Pacific, every dot marking another guardian awakening. Ethan's head throbbed with an odd pressure, as if the statue's voice was inside his skull. He stumbled back, clutching his temples, and in that moment saw flashes of something not his own memory, towering alien cities under strange stars, oceans boiling giant, ships rising into a black sky, screams in a language he somehow understood, then a flash of fire and the cities were gone, replaced by sand and ice. He fell to his knees, gasping. Dr. Voss knelt beside him. "What did you see?" Ethan's voice was weak. "They were here before us. We destroyed them." Harris gave him a sharp look. "What do you mean, destroyed?" Ethan met his gaze. "I think humans were the invaders, not them before anyone could respond." The statue's eyes flared one last time and its voice boomed. So loud the ground split in a jagged line running toward the horizon. A blast of hot wind tore through the camp, throwing sand into the air. Equipment toppled, soldiers shouted orders. Harris dragged Ethan toward the SUV, but Ethan twisted back, staring. At the statue, its carved mouth was closing again, the glow fading, yet even without light. He felt it still watching him as they sped away. Harris spoke into his radio, ordering all teams to prepare for Level 1 containment. Dr. Voss sat across from Ethan, scribbling furiously, her voice barely above a whisper. "If the curse has begun, then the environment itself will change to match their world." Ethan turned to the window. The desert stretched endlessly, but far on the horizon he saw a strange, shimmer-like heat rising. Only the air above it was tinged faintly green. The world was unraveling faster than anyone could control. Communications were failing in entire regions. Satellites blinked offline without warning, leaving huge parts of the planet blind to what was happening. Storms appeared in places that had never seen them before. Snow fell in the middle of the Sahara, while the skies above New York turned a sickly green. Ethan sat in the back of a military transport plane, its engines roaring as it cut through turbulent clouds. Agent Harris sat across from him, strapping down gear, while Dr. Voss reviewed alien symbols on her tablet. "We have a small window," Harris said, shouting over the noise before the last satellite went dark. "We picked up a massive structure emerging from the ground near the Nevada Guardian, something that wasn't there 2 days ago." Ethan leaned forward. "What kind of structure?" Harris glanced at him like he wished he didn't have to answer a monolith. Almost 100 feet high. Same stone, same glow as the statue. It's sending out pulses that are throwing our systems into chaos. Dr. Voss added, those pulses could be part of the countdown. Ethan felt the knot in his stomach tighten. Harris fixed. Him with a look, you need to be ready to speak to it again. Ethan wanted to say he wasn't ready, but he remembered the flashes of alien history in his mind, the ruined cities, the burning skies. If this was their judgment, maybe talking was there. Only chance when they landed, the air was thick with a strange metallic taste. The wind carried an unnatural hum that made Ethan's teeth ache. They drove out to the desert in armored trucks, passing abandoned towns where windows were shattered, and sand had poured inside like an invading tide. The monolith loomed ahead, jagged and wrong, like it had forced its way up through the earth, its green light pulsing in slow, steady beats. The Nevada Guardian stood before it, now glowing brighter than ever. The air shimmered between them like a heat haze. Dr. Voss studied the carvings on the monolith, her brow furrowed. This isn't just a signal tower. She said it's a command node. Harris frowned. Meaning it's controlling the others, Ethan. Watched the light patterns on the stone, his breath catching as he noticed they were changing, shifting into a sequence that almost looked like a code. Dr. Voss noticed it too. These are instructions being sent to the rest of the Guardians. Ethan heard. The hum deepened until it was inside his skull, and then without warning the Guardian's mouth opened again. The alien voice rolled out slow and heavy, the words not entirely English, yet somehow clear to him. Bring the key of the fallen star, or the sky will burn, Harris muttered to Dr. Voss. What the hell is the key? She shook her head. There's no record of it. Ethan stepped forward without thinking, his voice shaking. What is the key? Where do I find it? The Guardian's eyes flared so bright. He had to shield his face, and the words came again in English and the alien tongue. The key sleeps where the Earth's fire meets the cold of the stars. Then the glow faded, leaving only the steady pulse of the monolith. Dr. Voss's eyes widened. That sounds like a volcanic location. Harris's radio crackled with static before a voice broke through Commander satellite imagery. Shows an energy spike under the Eldfell volcano in Iceland. Same readings as the Guardian's. Ethan's pulse quickened. Volcano fire cold of the stars. That's it. Harris barked orders to the team. Move we leave in 1 hour as they turned to go. Ethan glanced back at the monolith for a moment. He thought he saw its surface ripple like water and deep inside a shadow. Moved something vast, and watching when they drove away, the shimmer in the air grew thicker behind them, and the green pulses quickened like the beating of some ancient heart. The helicopter shuddered in the freezing winds above Iceland, its rotors chopping through clouds heavy with snow. Ethan sat between Agent Harris and Dr. Voss, clutching his harness, as the dark cone of the Eldfell volcano loomed below. The air was a sharp mix of sulfur and ice stinging his lungs with each breath. Radio chatter from the pilot came through barely audible heavy seismic activity below us, readings off the charts. Harris gave a curt nod to the team strapped in behind them. We go. Straight to the crater. No detours. The Guardian's instructions were clear. Dr. Voss held her tablet close, reviewing the alien carvings they had photographed from the Nevada monolith. Her voice was tight with urgency. If this key of the fallen star is real, it might be a physical object, a relic from when the Zareth were here last. Ethan stared out the side window. The snow-swept landscape stretched endlessly white, except for the black scar of the volcano, glowing faint red at its core when they landed. The ground shook beneath their boots. Steam hissed from cracks in the rock, and the wind howled like a living thing. Harris led them toward a narrow path, spiraling down into the crater walls, glistening with strange mineral veins that shimmered faint green. The deeper they went, the stronger the humming in Ethan's head became, until it was almost deafening. At the base of the crater, they found it a jagged opening in the rock, leading to a cavern lit from within by a pulsating light. Stepping inside, they saw a massive sphere the size of a small car floating inches above the ground. It glowed with shifting patterns, the same alien symbols carved into the Nevada statue. Ethan approached slowly, the hum now vibrating in his. "Bones," Dr. Voss whispered. "This isn't just a relic, it's a memory core." Harris frowned. What? She glanced at him. An alien device that stores knowledge, voices, histories. It might even be alive. Ethan reached out his hand the moment his fingers brushed. The surface, his vision exploded into white fire. He was standing on a world under twin suns, alien cities stretching to the horizon, ships shaped like living creatures gliding through the air. He saw the Zareth, tall, elegant beings with translucent skin and eyes like molten silver. He felt their pride, their mastery of science, their deep connection to the stars. Then the vision shifted to war. Human soldiers in crude armor, wielding weapons of fire and metal storms, tearing through alien spires. Oceans boiling the Zareth, fleeing into the void, leaving behind their guardians to watch and to judge. The vision snapped away. Ethan gasped, stumbling back. Harris caught him, steadying his voice. "What did you see?" Ethan's voice was hoarse. "We destroyed them. We took their world." Dr. Voss's eyes darkened. That explains the curse Harris was about to speak when the cavern shook violently. Rocks falling from the ceiling outside. The sound of engines roared. Alien drones, sleek and insect-like, poured into the crater, their eyes glowing green weapons crackling with energy. Harris drew his gun, shouting, "Take cover!" The soldiers returned, fire bolts of blue light slicing through the snow. One drone darted into the cavern, firing a beam that scorched the rock inches from Ethan's head. Harris shot it down, sparks showering over the sphere, but the blast triggered something. The patterns on the sphere's surface began spinning faster, its hum rising to a piercing tone. Dr. Voss's face went pale. "It's activating," Harris barked. "Is that good or bad?" she shouted. "It's not the key. It's a transmitter before anyone could stop it." The sphere sent out a blinding pulse that ripped through the cavern and shot into the sky, a thin column of light stabbing straight into the clouds. Ethan felt the air vibrate as if the whole planet had heard it outside. The surviving drones retreated, vanishing into the storm. Harris grabbed Ethan's arm, his voice low. "You just told them where we are." Ethan's stomach sank. Told who? Harris looked toward the beam fading in the clouds, the ones who left their coming back. The alien ship appeared without warning, a vast shadow swallowing the stars above Earth, its hull black as obsidian yet alive with flowing patterns of green light. It hung in orbit so massive it blotted out the moon's glow within hours. Every guardian statue on the planet opened its eyes at once, their voices speaking in unison through the air, through the ground, through the minds of every living human. The words were simple. "The time of judgment has come." Ethan stood on the observation deck of a high-security base deep underground, watching the ship through a reinforced glass viewport. Agent Harris paced behind him, his voice clipped. "All global channels are gone. The statues are transmitting directly into human brains. No way to block it." Dr. Voss stood at a console, frantically scrolling through data. They're all linked. The ship, the statues, the monoliths, and now the sphere. Everything's part of the same system. Harris slammed a fist against the wall. "So how do we shut it down?" Voss hesitated before looking at Ethan. "The ship isn't here for war. Not in the way we think. It's here to give us a choice." Ethan frowned. What choice? The speakers around the room crackled, but it wasn't electronics making the sound. It was the same deep alien voice that had haunted his dreams for days. The image of a tall Zareth being formed in the air, shimmering like heat above asphalt, its silver. Eyes fixed on him, the voice rolled through the room as if the walls themselves were speaking. "Humanity has taken what was not theirs. Your kind, walks on stolen ground. The time has come to decide leave this world and never return, or remain and be. Erased Harris's hand, went to his gun as if he could shoot a hologram. Voss stepped forward, trying to keep her voice calm. What happens if we leave the Zareth's gaze did not shift. Those who depart will be allowed to live elsewhere. You will be carried to worlds untouched by your greed. Those who stay will be forgotten, as if they never were. Ethan's chest tightened. He thought of the vision in the volcano of the cities burning the Zareth. Fleeing into the void, he stepped toward the image, his voice cracking. Wait. It was me I mocked. The Guardian. Punish me. Not them. The Zareth tilted its head. You speak as if you have authority to trade your life for the countless dead. We have judged your kind across millennia. The curse is not vengeance. It is justice. Ethan's mind raced. He glanced at Voss, her face pale, then at Harris, who gave the smallest nod. Like, do what you have to do. Ethan lunged toward the console, grabbing the sphere from its containment unit. The alien image flickered, its voice sharpening. Human! What are you doing? Ethan shouted. Ending this before we can't. Harris moved between him and the guard, shouting, Let him work! Ethan slammed the sphere to the ground, but instead of shattering it, split open like a seed spilling out liquid light that pooled across the floor. The ship above shuddered, its green patterns distorting the Guardians around the world, let out a single unified sound like a deep breath being drawn in. The liquid light surged upward into the ceiling, racing through the base's power lines and into the sky. In the next instant, the alien ship vanished, as if it had never been there. The voices went silent. The Guardians went dark. The base's lights flickered and died. Silence fell thick and heavy. When emergency power kicked in, the world outside was unrecognizable. Entire sections of land had fractured into black chasms. Cities had crumbled into dust. Oceans had shifted, flooding coastlines. The alien curse had not been lifted without cost. Months later, Ethan walked through the ruins of what had once been a small coastal town. Survivors lived underground in shelters, trading what little food and clean water they could find. One afternoon, as he scavenged along the sand, he saw something. Small, half-buried, he bent down, brushing away the grains. It was a statue no taller than his hand, carved from the same green stone. Its eyes closed for now. As he turned it in his palm, the eyes snapped open, glowing faint green. A tiny voice whispered, in the alien tongue, then in perfect English, "We are not finished." Ethan stood frozen, the wind cold against his face, knowing in his bones that this was only the beginning.